Today we're diving deep into the heart of American food nostalgia, the desserts that define generations. These 5 treats aren't just sweets, they're pieces of history that brought families together. Number 1. Depression-era chocolate cake. The Depression-era chocolate cake became a staple in American households during the 1930s, a time when ingredients like eggs, butter, and milk were either too expensive or hard to come by. This recipe is remarkable for its simplicity and ingenuity, relying on basic pantry items that were more affordable and accessible. The cake's ingredients include all-purpose flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking soda, vinegar, water, and vegetable oil, with no eggs or dairy involved. The key to the cake's success is the chemical reaction between baking soda and vinegar, which acts as the leavening agent. This reaction creates bubbles of carbon dioxide, making the cake rise and giving it a light and tender texture, despite the absence of eggs. The use of oil instead of butter keeps the cake moist, and the cocoa powder provides a rich chocolate flavor, even with minimal fat content. This cake was not only a necessity born out of scarcity, but also an example of resourcefulness. During the Great Depression, families had to make do with what was available, and this cake epitomized that survivalist mentality. Coffee was sometimes used instead of water to deepen the chocolate flavor, and some bakers substituted brown sugar for granulated sugar, adding a bit of molasses flavor and creating an even more moist texture. These small tweaks allowed families to customize the cake based on what they had on hand. Many Depression-era households also took advantage of its versatility. The basic recipe could be easily modified to suit different occasions. If sugar was scarce, the cake could be made less sweet, or fruit could be added to give it more texture. It was a dessert that could stretch across many meals, providing something sweet during a time when luxuries were few and far between. Another interesting fact is how this cake carried forward into future generations. During World War II, when rationing made eggs and dairy scarce again, the Depression-era chocolate cake re-emerged in kitchens, continuing its legacy as a dessert that could withstand difficult times. Even today, it's cherished not only for its history, but for how it exemplifies the resilience of those who made it through hard times with creativity and ingenuity. In contemporary times, the cake is still popular, with many modern variations adding frosting or substituting ingredients for different flavors. Some bakers use orange juice or red wine instead of water to add complexity to the chocolate taste. Frosting, while not traditional, is often used now, with simple chocolate or buttercream frostings being added once the cake cools. For a healthier or more modern twist, olive oil or coconut oil can be used in place of vegetable oil. The result is a moist, decadent cake that feels much richer than its humble ingredients suggest. This cake remains a testament to the creativity of home bakers during challenging times, standing as a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. It has survived for decades as an example of how basic ingredients, when combined with a bit of know-how, can produce something extraordinary. Today, it's a popular recipe for those seeking an easy, dairy-free and egg-free dessert, as well as a nostalgic reminder of an era when resourcefulness in the kitchen was essential. Number 2. Ambrosia Salad, a fruit-heavy favorite of the 1950s. Ambrosia Salad, a dish rooted in southern U.S. tradition, dates back to the late 19th century. It became a popular dessert in the early 20th century, especially at holiday gatherings, picnics, and potlucks. The name ambrosia comes from Greek mythology, where it was considered the food of the gods, believed to grant immortality. The salad earned this name because at the time, its ingredients, exotic fruits like oranges and coconut, were seen as luxurious and rare. Traditional ambrosia salad typically includes a mix of canned fruit such as mandarin oranges, pineapple, and sometimes maraschino cherries, combined with coconut and mini marshmallows. The creamy dressing often involves sour cream or whipped cream, which contrasts with the sweetness of the fruit and marshmallows, giving the dish its distinct flavor and texture. Some variations include nuts like pecans or walnuts, while others might use yogurt or even cottage cheese in place of sour creams for a lighter version. Ambrosia's popularity surged in the 1950s and 1960s when it was seen as a symbol of prosperity. By then, canned goods had become more accessible, making this salad a convenient and colorful option for large family gatherings. The vibrant colors and creamy consistency made it a festive dish, ideal for potlucks and special occasions. However, over the years, the dish has faced some criticism for being overly sweet or outdated, with some modern interpretations opting for fresher ingredients or reduced sugar content. One interesting note is that Ambrosia's connection to the South ties in with its use of coconut, which was considered an exotic ingredient during the late 1800s. Citrus fruits were also becoming more widely available thanks to increased transportation from Florida and California, further elevating ambrosia as a luxurious dish. Ambrosia salad still holds a special place in American food history, particularly in Southern cuisine, and continues to be a nostalgic dish for many families, particularly around the holiday season. While its popularity may have waned in modern kitchens, it remains a cherished part of retro culinary culture. Number 3. Lemon chiffon pie. Lemon chiffon pie became a sensation in the 1940s due to its incredibly light texture and refreshing citrusy flavor. The chiffon technique was a major innovation at the time, involving whipped egg whites that give the filling its airy consistency, making it a stark contrast to the heavier custard pies popular in earlier decades. The pie's name comes from its light, silky texture, akin to chiffon fabric, and it was the brainchild of Monroe Boston Strauss, who revolutionized pie making in the 1920s by creating the chiffon style of dessert. By the 1940s, this lemon variation had taken off, becoming a favorite springtime treat. The pie is typically made with a combination of fresh lemon juice, lemon zest, and sugar mixed with egg yolks, which are cooked into a lemon curd. Unflavored gelatin is then added to stabilize the filling, which is crucial for achieving the firm yet light texture that defines chiffon pies. Once the lemon curd has cooled and the gelatin has set slightly, whipped egg whites are folded into the mixture, providing the iconic airy texture. The mixture is then poured into a pre-baked pie crust, traditionally made from a flaky, buttery dough. One key element of lemon chiffon pie is how it balances tartness and sweetness. The sharp acidity of the lemon is mellowed by the sweetness of the sugar and the richness of whipped cream, which is often used to top the pie before serving. Some versions also incorporate a whipped cream layer into the filling, adding even more lightness and creaminess. During the 1940s, this pie was particularly popular for special occasions and holidays because it felt indulgent without being heavy. It was also practical, as many households could prepare it with basic ingredients, yet it still looked impressive on the table. The use of gelatin, which became more widespread thanks to brands like Knox and Jell-O, allowed for creative takes on fruit-flavored chiffon pies beyond lemon, but the lemon version remains one of the most classic and beloved. Number 4. Pineapple upside-down cake. Pineapple upside-down cake is an iconic American dessert with a rich history tied to the rise of canned pineapple. Before canned pineapple became widely available, the idea of upside-down cakes existed in various forms, often made with fruits like apples or cherries in cast-iron skillets. These early versions date back to the 1800s, long before pineapples were part of the equation. The turning point came in 1901, when James Dole founded the Hawaiian Pineapple Company, now known as Dole. His development of a pineapple canning process revolutionized access to this exotic fruit, making it available to American households. In 1925, the company held a recipe contest to promote the use of canned pineapple, receiving over 60,000 submissions, 2,500 of which were for pineapple upside-down cakes. This surge in interest helped cement the dessert's place in American culinary history. Traditionally, pineapple upside-down cake is made by layering pineapple rings, often canned, in the bottom of a skillet or cake pan with butter and brown sugar, which caramelizes as the cake bakes. Maraschino cherries are typically added to the center of each pineapple ring, providing both color and sweetness. The cake batter, which is poured on top of this fruit mixture, usually consists of a simple vanilla-flavored sponge. Once baked, the cake is flipped upside down, revealing the glossy caramelized pineapples on top. The 1920s and 1930s saw the cake's popularity grow as it became featured in cookbooks and advertisements. The cake represented a fusion of convenience and luxury. Canned pineapple was an accessible yet exotic ingredient that symbolized modernity and abundance. By the mid-20th century, it had become a staple at American potlucks and family gatherings, often associated with celebration and nostalgia. Interestingly, the pineapple itself carried symbolic meaning. It was historically a sign of hospitality and wealth, especially in Europe, where it was often displayed as a centerpiece at banquets. This symbolism carried over into American culture, further elevating the cake as a dish that symbolized warmth, welcome, and generosity. Today, variations of the recipe include the addition of spices like cinnamon or ginger to the cake batter, or even a caramel layer made with dark rum, giving it a tropical twist. While fresh pineapple can be used in modern versions, many bakers still prefer canned pineapple for its authenticity and consistent sweetness, harking back to the cake's origins during the rise of canned fruit in the early 20th century. Number 5. Bread pudding. Bread pudding has a long, rich history that dates back to the 11th or 12th century, originating as a practical way to use stale bread rather than waste it. In the early versions of this dish, leftover bread was soaked in a mixture of milk, eggs, and fat, such as butter or suet. Sweeteners like honey or sugar were added to create a dessert, although savory versions also existed. This simplicity, along with the need to prevent food waste, made bread pudding a popular dish among the lower classes in medieval Europe. The recipe gradually evolved, becoming a staple across many cultures and adapting to regional preferences. In Britain, for example, bread pudding is often referred to as bread and butter pudding, and it is traditionally made with buttered bread layered with raisins, covered in a spiced custard, and baked until golden. The British version typically uses slices of buttered bread, while the American approach often calls for cubes of bread soaked in a sweet custard. In many Latin American countries, bread pudding is known as budín de pan and often incorporates sweet ingredients like raisins, nuts, and caramel. In Brazil, for example, pudim de pau includes ingredients like condensed milk and cinnamon, blending local flavors with the traditional dessert. In New Orleans, bread pudding has taken on a unique identity, often topped with a rich whiskey or rum sauce. Some versions include chocolate, fruit compotes, or Creole cream cheese, making the dish an indulgent dessert that reflects the region's culinary creativity. The dish's versatility is a major reason for its enduring popularity. It can be sweet or savory, simple or elaborate, depending on the ingredients available. From its humble beginnings, bread pudding has transformed into a beloved comfort food worldwide, showcasing the adaptability of simple ingredients like bread, milk, and eggs to create a rich, flavorful dessert. And there you have it, 5 nostalgic desserts that defined generations and brought warmth to the family table. These desserts were more than just sweet treats. They were symbols of the eras they came from, reflecting the resourcefulness, creativity, and evolving tastes of American households from the 1930s to the 1970s. Which one brings back memories for you? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed this sweet trip down memory lane. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time with more delicious history.